Hi everyone, and welcome to this tutorial series on Flash game design. We're looking at how to make the Pong game in Flash. And in the last tutorial we had a look at some ActionScript, which is the coding language associated with Flash. And this is what we came up with. Here we've got two lines of code which set the X coordinate and the Y coordinate of our ball object on our game area. And I've positioned it in the very center of the game area. So these are coordinates. And then in the game loop we're changing the value of the coordinates to make it look like the ball is moving. And this is the result that we get. Now, if you're not sure about any of this that we're looking at the moment, please go back and review the previous tutorial. But if you're happy, let's move on. Now today we're going to look at how to make that ball bounce off the edges of the stage or the game area, because we don't want the ball to disappear, do we? We want it to bounce and so that we can continue playing the game. A couple of things I'm going to mention before we get that far. Quick review. First of all, let's set the Y value, the Y change value here to 0. We're only going to change the X coordinate value in the game loop. We should have the ball now traveling in a horizontal line. It's only traveling on the X-axis. And if I want to reverse the direction of the ball, I simply make that a negative number. And it reverses. So that's an important concept for today's tutorial that you'll have to understand. Also, we can play with the speed of the ball by changing that number. So this is related to the speed of the ball according to the code that we're writing. So now it's going faster. Okay? Interestingly, ActionScript understands what X is. Can you see that it's become a blue color? That's because ActionScript understands this. I don't have to tell ActionScript what the X coordinate of the ball is. ActionScript understands that. We've got all this blue stuff here. These are all special words in ActionScript. Okay? And X is a property of our object, ball, which ActionScript understands. And there are some other properties, very quickly, that I can introduce to you. Before we play our game, I can set the height of our ball. Brilliant. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. And of course, I can also set the width. Let's make it very narrow. Look, these are blue. ActionScript understands all of this. So that's very helpful. The ActionScript understands properties of objects in our game. Now what we're going to do today is look at how to reverse the direction of our ball, our object in our game. Now what we're going to think about is if the X coordinate of the ball is greater than 550, if the X coordinate becomes greater than 550, we will reverse the speed. Okay? And if the X coordinate of the ball becomes less than 0, we will reverse the speed, and that means the ball will look like it's bouncing off the edge. And we're going to use a similar technique for the top edge and the bottom edge of the game design as well. Okay? So let's have a look at how to do that in ActionScript. I want to reverse or make this number negative at some point during the game. But because I've hard-coded that as a value of 10, it makes it difficult to change. So this is my little trick that I'm going to show you. I'm going to use the ball speed property. And I'm going to set the ball speed property to be 3. And I'm going to use that ball speed instead of using a hard value, a fixed value like 10. So plus ball dot speed. And we'll do the same for the Y value. So I've set it to be 3. This is 3, But I'll show you in a moment how we can change that value during game time. Okay? Let's just test that and see what happens. There should be no changes from what we had before. Okay? Now then, let's think about the next little bit of logic. I told you that if the x-coordinate of the ball becomes greater than 550, we will reverse the speed of the ball, and it will make it look like the ball is bouncing. So let's just, I'm going to repeat that as I type it into Flash. If the x-coordinate of the ball is greater than 550, curly brackets, we are going to change the speed of the ball to a new value, which will be the current value multiplied by -1. Does that make sense? At first, the ball speed is 3. When our x-coordinate gets to 550, the ball speed becomes equal to -3. So the next position of this is going to be 547, 544, 541, 538. Yeah? Because the ball speed is now set to -3. That's now -3. So we're adding a negative number onto the current x-coordinate of the ball. Okay? So have a think about that line of code and see if you can understand how it works. I'll show you what it looks like, by the way. A poorly positioned ball. We're not going to see that in action. Let's just change the x value of the ball at the start of the game, and we should see what's going on. Boom. We get the bounce. Oh, well, we've got a bounce. It's bouncing, but it's not bouncing properly. No! I don't want it to bounce. Oh, it's moving down, and I want it to continue moving down, but I want it to bounce back into the game area. Oh, why is it doing that? Oh, I see. Oh. The x speed, if you like, is changing to be a negative speed, but so is the y speed, because ball speed is becoming a negative number. Ball speed is becoming a negative number. The x value is changing and the y. Sorry, let's look at that again. The x direction is reversing, and so is the y direction. The y direction is reversing as well, because ball speed is reversing. It's becoming negative. Let's look at this. Let's look at this again. X and y are both increasing in value. And when I bounce, I want the x to decrease in value, because we're moving from right to left, so x is going to decrease in value, but I want y to continue increasing. I want y to keep going down towards the value of 400. It starts at 0 and it goes towards 400. So I want the y coordinate to continue increasing, and only the x to decrease back towards 0 on the x-axis. Does that make sense? So using ball speed, I can't do that, unfortunately. That's not going to work. How annoying. What I need to do is only change the ball. What I need to say is ball dot speed x changes. I don't want to change the y speed. I only want to change. But there is no speed x. That didn't turn blue. ActionScript doesn't know what that is. It's not a magic thing. Let's do small case x. No, it doesn't understand it. Oh, that's a shame. I'll tell you what I'm going to do then. I'm going to create my own little variable at the start of the game. I'm going to create a new variable called ball speed x. I'm going to tell Java what kind of data to expect. This is an integer, which just means a whole number, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to create a variable called ball speed x. It is an integer, and I'm going to assign it a value of 3. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to create another variable called ball speed y. And I need to tell Java that it's an integer, it's a whole number, and I'm also going to give it a value of 3. Brilliant. Okay, this might work. Now, so instead of ball speed, on the x line, I'm going to use ball speed x. Please note, there is no dot. There is no dot here. Speed x is not a property of ball. This is something that I am designing. I create this. I am making a new variable called ball speed x, and I'm assigning it a value of 3. I can call this whatever I want. Up to me. Doesn't matter. I could call it John speed x. And as long as I call it correctly in my code, it's fine. Call it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine ball speed x. And we're going to change that to ball speed y. Brilliant. Now this is where it gets fun. Okay. If the x-coordinate of the ball becomes greater than 550, I'm going to reverse ball speed x. Ball speed x multiplied by -1. Notice, if this happens, if I reach the edge of the game area, if I reach this edge here, this one here, I'm only going to affect the x speed. And this affects this line of code only, not this line of code. Y speed stays at 3. This will change. Okay, this will become -3. So let's run this and see what happens. Ding! Brilliant! Dink! Dink! Alright, now your challenge is, can you create 3 more if statements? This is an if statement. Can you create 3 more of these to make the ball bounce not only on this edge, but also this edge, and this edge, and this edge? That is your challenge. So the ball is going to be bouncing inside the game area. Can you figure it out?